Not all temples are built of stone. Some are found in silence, in scent, in a single slowed breath. You don't need to be religious to feel something sacred. This is a journey through spaces that heal, within and without. We begin with personal stories of peace beyond belief, then explore the science, how sacred environments calm the brain, heart, and nervous system. From temple architecture to ritual sound and symmetry, we'll see how design shapes emotion, across cultures, across centuries. And finally, we ask, how can we bring this home? Because the deepest sanctuary may not be a place at all. It may be the stillness we learn to return to. People often walk into temples expecting a religious experience, but what many feel instead is something quieter, deeper. It's not always about gods or beliefs. For some, the peace comes before any prayer is said. A man from Chennai once described how he would sit on the stone floor of his neighborhood temple, eyes closed, listening to the slow rhythm of bells and chants. He said he didn't think of God. He thought of stillness, the way his breath felt in his chest, the sound of his heartbeat softening in the silence. Another pilgrim, a woman from Toronto visiting India for the first time, stepped into a hilltop temple in Himachal Pradesh. She wasn't raised Hindu. She didn't follow any rituals. But the moment she stepped past the threshold, her eyes welled up. Something about the space, the smell of incense, the flicker of oil lamps, the quiet dignity of the priest, moved her in a way she couldn't explain. It wasn't religious for her. It was something else, presence, maybe, a sense that nothing needed to be done, just felt. Across temples and shrines, people often report emotions that they didn't expect. A tired man from Pune described how he visited a temple not out of devotion, but desperation. Work pressure, family issues, and health problems had worn him down. He wasn't religious. He went because someone told him it might help. He sat in silence near the sanctum and felt something loosen inside him. He said he didn't leave with answers, but with ease. He couldn't say what changed, only that something had. This peace, this shift, doesn't always need belief. The temple doesn't demand a faith declaration. It offers space, it offers stillness, and that's often enough. Children run barefoot across stone paths, their laughter mixing with distant chants. Old women sit cross-legged near flower sellers, stringing garlands, not speaking. Strangers bow their heads together at dusk arti. There's no checklist for entry, no proof of devotion required. The peace is offered freely, and people meet it in different ways. This is where emotion and architecture meet. Not everyone understands the symbolism in temple carvings. Not everyone knows the mythology or the mantras. But most people feel something. The echo of sound against high ceilings, the pattern of cool stone underfoot, the rhythm of walking slowly in circles around the sanctum. All of this adds up to something that goes beyond language. It invites the body to slow down. It invites the mind to listen. The emotions that rise, grief, gratitude, longing, love, don't ask for logic. They come unannounced. There's a word often heard in Indian devotional traditions, bhakti. It doesn't mean belief, it means love. Not romantic love, but a quiet, deep affection for something greater, even if that greater has no name. Bhakti is less about doing and more about feeling. People come to temples with hands full of offerings, but what they really bring is the willingness to feel something they can't always name. A retired teacher from Kerala spoke of how his visits to the village temple became more about letting go than asking for anything. He would sit near the banyan tree and simply breathe. In his younger years, he prayed for success, health, and good fortune. Now, in his 70s, he prays less and listens more. He said that surrender, in the temple, doesn't feel like defeat. It feels like rest. That surrender is another part of the experience people often describe. Not surrender in the military sense, but surrender as relief. The kind that comes when you stop holding up the weight of everything and let it down for a moment. In the temple, this shows up when people stop trying to think their way through life and simply sit. Or when they bow, not because they must, but because it feels right to let the head fall and the heart open. Even people who don't believe in any god sometimes find themselves bowing, not to an idol, but to a moment. Presence is what makes this all possible. The temple, with its structure and rituals, holds attention in a way the outside world rarely does. Phones don't ring, people don't rush. The air smells of sandalwood and ghee, the light flickers instead of flashing. Everything seems to say, be here now. For many, this is enough. Just to be fully in one place, with nowhere to go and nothing to achieve, is rare. The temple offers that space. One woman, a yoga teacher from Bengaluru, that just described how she visits a small roadside shrine every week. It's not famous, there's no long queue, but for her, it's a reset button. She walks there after class, barefoot, feeling each step. She lights a lamp, closes her eyes, and stands still for a few minutes. She said it reminds her that peace isn't found, it's remembered. There are people who travel thousands of miles to visit temples. There are others who live next door to one and go every morning without fanfare. In both cases, the experience is often less about what's outside, the grandeur of the tower, the number of bells, the size of the crowd, and more about what stirs inside. The temple becomes a mirror. It shows what's already there: longing, calm, hope, silence. In some places, people cry, not because they're sad, but because they finally feel something after being numb. Others smile without reason, moved by the sound of chants they don't understand. A teenager in Tamil Nadu said he visits the temple not to pray, but to feel what his grandmother felt. He never met her, but he sits where she sat. He touches the same stone, and in doing that, he feels close to something, maybe her, maybe something more. These moments don't need words, they don't need doctrine. The peace that temples offer isn't tied to one religion. It's a kind of atmosphere, a permission to stop pretending, to stop performing, to just be. For many, that's the greatest gift. Not belief, but belonging. Not certainty, but quiet. So people come, young and old, believers and skeptics, locals and tourists. They come not always to pray, but to feel. They come with heavy hearts and open hands. And they often leave lighter. Not because a miracle happened, but because, for a few minutes, the world slowed down and they could hear their own breath again. People often walk into temples expecting a religious experience, but what many feel instead is something quieter, deeper. It's not always about gods or beliefs. For some, the peace comes before any prayer is said. A man from Chennai once described how he would sit on the stone floor of his neighborhood temple, eyes closed, listening to the slow rhythm of bells and chants. He said he didn't think of God. He thought of stillness, the way his breath felt in his chest, the sound of his heartbeat softening in the silence. Another pilgrim, a woman from Toronto visiting India for the first time, stepped into a hilltop temple in Himachal Pradesh. She wasn't raised Hindu. She didn't follow any rituals. But the moment she stepped past the threshold, her eyes welled up. Something about the space, the smell of incense, the flicker of oil lamps, the quiet dignity of the priest, moved her in a way she couldn't explain. It wasn't religious for her. It was something else, presence, maybe, a sense that nothing needed to be done, just felt. Across temples and shrines, people often report emotions that they didn't expect. A tired man from Pune described how he visited a temple not out of devotion, but desperation. Work pressure, family issues, and health problems had worn him down. He wasn't religious. He went because someone told him it might help. He sat in silence near the sanctum and felt something loosen inside him. He said he didn't leave with answers, but with ease. He couldn't say what changed, only that something had. This peace, this shift, doesn't always need belief. The temple doesn't demand a faith declaration. It offers space, it offers stillness, and that's often enough. Children run barefoot across stone paths, their laughter mixing with distant chants. Old women sit cross-legged near flower sellers, stringing garlands, not speaking. Strangers bow their heads together at dusk arti. There's no checklist for entry, no proof of devotion required. The peace is offered freely, and people meet it in different ways. This is where emotion and architecture meet. Not everyone understands the symbolism in temple carvings. Not everyone knows the mythology or the mantras. But most people feel something. The echo of sound against high ceilings, the pattern of cool stone underfoot, the rhythm of walking slowly in circles around the sanctum. All of this adds up to something that goes beyond language. It invites the body to slow down. It invites the mind to listen. The emotions that rise, grief, gratitude, longing, love, don't ask for logic. They come unannounced. There's a word often heard in Indian devotional traditions, bhakti. It doesn't mean belief, it means love. Not romantic love, but a quiet, deep affection for something greater, even if that greater has no name. Bhakti is less about doing and more about feeling. People come to temples with hands full of offerings, but what they really bring is the willingness to feel something they can't always name. A retired teacher from Kerala spoke of how his visits to the village temple became more about letting go than asking for anything. He would sit near the banyan tree and simply breathe. In his younger years, he prayed for success, health, and good fortune. Now, in his 70s, he prays less and listens more. He said that surrender in the temple doesn't feel like defeat, it feels like rest. That surrender is another part of the experience people often describe. Not surrender in the military sense, but surrender as relief. The kind that comes when you stop holding up the weight of everything and let it down for a moment. In the temple, this shows up when people stop trying to think their way through life and simply sit. Or when they bow, not because they must, but because it feels right to let the head fall and the heart open. Even people who don't believe in any god sometimes find themselves bowing, not to an idol, but to a moment. Presence is what makes this all possible. The temple, with its structure and rituals, holds attention in a way the outside world rarely does. Phones don't ring, people don't rush. The air smells of sandalwood and ghee, the light flickers instead of flashing. Everything seems to say, be here now. For many, this is enough. Just to be fully in one place, with nowhere to go and nothing to achieve, is rare. The temple offers that space. One woman, a yoga teacher from Bengaluru, that just described how she visits a small roadside shrine every week. It's not famous, there's no long queue, but for her, it's a reset button. She walks there after class, barefoot, feeling each step. She lights a lamp, closes her eyes, and stands still for a few minutes. She said it reminds her that peace isn't found, it's remembered. There are people who travel thousands of miles to visit temples. There are others who live next door to one and go every morning without fanfare. In both cases, the experience is often less about what's outside, the grandeur of the tower, the number of bells, the size of the crowd, and more about what stirs inside. The temple becomes a mirror. It shows what's already there: longing, calm, hope, silence. In some places, people cry, not because they're sad, but because they finally feel something after being numb. Others smile without reason, moved by the sound of chants they don't understand. A teenager in Tamil Nadu said he visits the temple not to pray, but to feel what his grandmother felt. He never met her, but he sits where she sat. He touches the same stone, and in doing that, he feels close to something, maybe her, maybe something more. These moments don't need words, they don't need doctrine. The peace that temples offer isn't tied to one religion. It's a kind of atmosphere, a permission to stop pretending, to stop performing, to just be. For many, that's the greatest gift. Not belief, but belonging. Not certainty, but quiet. So people come, young and old, believers and skeptics, locals and tourists. They come not always to pray, but to feel. They come with heavy hearts and open hands. And they often leave lighter. Not because a miracle happened, but because, for a few minutes, the world slowed down and they could hear their own breath again. A person walking into a well-designed temple often feels something shift, even before they pray or sit. The body slows down, the eyes soften, breathing deepens. This reaction isn't accidental. It is a response to design, how the space is built, how it feels, and how it works with the senses. Across cultures and centuries, temple architecture has evolved to support human well-being, not just through beauty, but through calm, proportion, and balance. In many Indian temples, the space feels intentional. There is a central sanctum, often small and quiet, surrounded by layers of halls, courtyards, and columns. These are not only aesthetic choices, they serve the body and mind. Moving through these layers creates a gradual transition from the outside world to the inner one. The sound, light, and temperature shift step by step. As you walk in, external noise fades, the light becomes softer, the air cools. This slow change helps the nervous system downshift. The space asks you to arrive, not all at once, but in layers. This sense of balance and flow is guided by Vastu Shastra. It is not just a set of spiritual rules, it is a design system. Like geometry or acoustics, it follows principles. Vastu pays close attention to orientation, symmetry, and energy movement. A temple that follows Vastu is aligned with the cardinal directions. The sanctum faces east, so the morning sun touches it first. This natural light is not symbolic alone. It gives rhythm. It supports the body's internal clock. It invites people to enter when the world is still quiet. The central part of the temple, the garbhagriha, is often surrounded by an ambulatory path. People walk this path slowly, barefoot. The act of walking in circles around the sanctum, known as pradakshina, is more than a ritual. It is a form of movement meditation. The design allows for this. The floor is usually stone, cool to the feet. The columns create repeating patterns. These rhythms support presence. They give the eye and mind something to follow, without clutter. This is what makes the space feel calm. Geometry plays a quiet but deep role. Many temple plans are based on grids, often square, divided into smaller squares. This modularity isn't decorative. It creates visual order. It helps the brain relax. When people are in symmetrical, well-proportioned spaces, their stress markers often reduce. The mind does not have to scan for imbalance or threat. The space feels held together. It feels safe. Materials matter. Stone, used in many traditional temples, holds temperature well. In hot climates, stone floors stay cool underfoot. In the early morning, the air inside a stone temple is still and fresh. Stone also carries sound. When a bell rings, the tone lasts longer. This resonance fills the space in waves, not jolts. The effect on the ear and body is gentle. Wood, used in hill temples or smaller shrines, adds warmth. It absorbs sound instead of reflecting it. This makes the space feel quieter, more private. Each material shapes how people feel and how they behave. Lighting in temples is rarely harsh. Natural light is used wherever possible. Openings in the ceiling, small windows, or lattice screens allow light to enter at angles, not directly. The sun moves across the temple slowly, casting long shadows. This kind of light keeps the eyes relaxed. It signals time in a soft way. In the inner sanctum, light often comes from oil lamps. These small flames flicker but don't glare. Their movement draws the eye without pulling the mind away. The body understands this rhythm and follows. Ventilation is another part of the healing quality of temples. High ceilings allow warm air to rise. Small openings or jalis let air pass through without creating drafts. This supports a sense of enclosure without stuffiness. In many old temples, you feel neither trapped nor exposed. You can breathe. This balance between shelter and openness is a key part of the design. It is not only functional, it supports stillness. Water features, often found in temple complexes, also add to this sense of calm. Stepwells, tanks, or ponds cool the surrounding air. They provide reflective surfaces. Watching water or listening to its movement helps people slow down. This is not just tradition, it is sensory support. A person may not know why they feel better near the temple tank, but their body responds. The Lotus Temple in Delhi, though not a Hindu temple, carries many of these principles. Shaped like a blooming lotus, it uses form to invite openness. The design includes large petals that seem to rise and hold space. The interior has no images, no spoken rituals, just quiet. Light filters through the gaps between the petals. People sit in a circle, in silence. The acoustics are tuned so that even a whisper carries. The structure asks for stillness and people respond. The shape, the light, the silence, all work together. Visitors from around the world report feeling peace inside, regardless of their faith. The Golden Temple in Amritsar offers a different example. It sits in the middle of a water tank, connected by a causeway. As people walk the path, their pace slows. The temple is surrounded by water on all sides. This isolates it slightly from the noise of the world. It also reflects light, changing through the day. The inner sanctum uses gold, not just for glory, but for glow. The light that reflects off the walls feels soft, not flashy. Kirtan, or devotional singing, plays all day. The marble floor cools the feet. The design creates a complete sensory field. People eat together in silence, sit under trees, or walk the perimeter. The space heals through rhythm and care, not words. Another layer of design comes from the Hasht Bahisht layout. Found in Persian and Mughal structures, this plan uses a central domed space with 8 surrounding rooms. The symmetry and balance of the design create a strong center. The Taj Mahal uses this principle. Though not a temple, it feels sacred to many because of its proportions and stillness. The visitor's path is straight and clear. The sound inside the main dome echoes gently. The stone is cool. The central chamber feels held, not enclosed. This sense of containment, without pressure, mirrors the idea of inner peace. In each of these spaces, from South Indian stone temples to Mughal tombs, the structure is not separate from the experience. The architecture guides the body, it shapes behavior, it creates quiet. People who may not be thinking about design often feel its impact. They stand longer, they breathe slower, they feel moved. Temple design is not only about sacredness, it is about restoration. It is about helping people reconnect to what is quiet inside them. The materials, the shapes, the air, the sound, all serve that purpose. When done well, the architecture disappears. What remains is experience. The body knows it is safe. The mind stops racing. In that stillness, peace becomes possible. A person enters a temple, and before they speak, their body has already begun to respond. The air smells different. The sound is not silence, but a steady rhythm of bells, mantras, or footsteps. The light shifts. The stone underfoot feels cool. These are not background features. They are part of the experience. Sensory input shapes how people feel. In temples, each sense is engaged with purpose. Sound is one of the first things people notice. A bell rings as someone enters. The vibration spreads through the air and the body. The sound is not random. It has been tuned to a specific frequency, often between 300 and 600 hertz, which matches the body's natural range of resonance. This vibration affects the nervous system. It alerts, but also centers. It marks a shift from the outside world to the inner one. Then there is the sound of chanting. People gather at dawn or dusk to recite mantras. The repetition is steady and slow. When many voices join, the effect is layered. One common sound is Om, or Om. It starts deep in the chest and moves through the throat to the lips. This movement activates breath control, vocal vibration, and mental focus. The body feels the sound, not just hears it. The mind follows the sound into stillness. Research shows that chanting Om can reduce activity in the brain's default mode network, the part linked to worry and wandering thoughts. Even when no one speaks, temples hold sound. The wind moves through carved openings. Water trickles near tanks. A priest hums under his breath while preparing lamps. These sounds are low frequency and steady. They don't demand attention, they support presence. The ear stops scanning. The body listens. Smell works differently. It connects straight to the brain's limbic system, which stores memory and emotion. In temples, the smell of sandalwood, camphor, or jasmine isn't decoration. It anchors people. One whiff of incense can bring someone back to childhood visits, to memories of comfort, or to a feeling of reverence they can't name. Each ritual has its own scent. Lighting camphor during arti sends smoke into the air. Burning frankincense during prayers fills the room. These smells mark time. They say, now is not ordinary time. Smell also affects how long people stay. A space that smells of smoke, earth, and flowers invites the body to relax. The brain links the scent with safety. The breath deepens. Over time, the association becomes stronger. A person might walk past a roadside shrine and feel calm, not because they stopped to pray, but because the smell triggered a memory of peace. Sight carries much of the symbolic load in temples. From afar, people see the rising tower, or shikara, and know they are near a sacred space. As they enter, their eyes adjust. Light filters in softly. The sanctum is often dim, lit by oil lamps. This low light draws the gaze inward. Brightness is not the goal. Focus is. Inside, images line the walls, carvings, deities, patterns. These are not just visual art, they are visual cues. Each deity carries symbols, a lotus, a conch, a bow, or a book. The posture of the figure, the gesture of the hands, the expression of the face, all guide the viewer. Even those who do not know the mythology feel something. A gentle smile carved in stone can calm. A fierce gaze can warn or protect. These images are repeated across temples for a reason. The brain rests in the familiar. The eye settles in known forms. Color also plays a role. In many temples, the use of red, gold, and deep blue is common. These colors are not loud. They are saturated. They create contrast against the gray of stone or the flicker of lamplight. Gold leaf on a sculpture catches firelight. Red powder on a stone step marks a ritual. These small visual signals guide the visitor's attention. Touch might be the most overlooked sense, yet it is always in play. People walk barefoot in temples. The stone is smooth from years of footsteps. It holds coolness in the morning and warmth in the afternoon. This contact with the ground is not just symbolic, it grounds the body physically. Nerve endings in the feet send signals of contact and texture. This brings awareness downward, away from racing thoughts. People also touch statues, steps, pillars. They run fingers over carvings. They press hands together in front of the deity. They hold flowers, lamps, or grains during offerings. These tactile actions are not about achieving anything. They are about being here. The feel of stone, the flicker of flame, the weight of a coconut, these make the ritual real. Rituals often involve temperature too. Water poured over a deity's image is cold. The flame of an arti lamp is warm. The air inside the sanctum is still. Each of these sensations sends signals to the body. They break automatic patterns. They say, pay attention, be present. Then there is movement. Temples are not static. People walk in slow circles around the sanctum. This act, called pradakshina or parikrama, is both physical and symbolic. It reflects a truth, that the sacred is at the center and life moves around it. But the body feels something else. The slow walk, the steady breath, the repeated path, these create a meditative state. Blood pressure drops, thoughts settle. This is not exercise, it is presence through motion. Even children who don't know the meanings of the rituals often copy the steps. They walk, bow, touch. Their bodies learn the rhythm. The temple teaches not through lectures, but through repetition. Sensory experience becomes habit. Habit becomes memory. Memory becomes peace. In this way, the temple becomes not just a place of worship, but a full sensory field. Every sense has a role. Sound marks time and quiets thought. Smell anchors memory and emotion. Sight provides rhythm and meaning. Touch grounds the body. Movement creates flow. A person may not understand every part of the ritual. They may not know the stories or the chants, but their body does, their senses do, and through those senses, they arrive. A person stands inside a temple, still and alert. They feel something hard to name, an energy, a quiet charge in the air. It's not loud or dramatic. It's steady, like a current under the surface. This experience is not only emotional or symbolic, it also relates to the body's response to place, rhythm, and movement. Ancient builders worked with this understanding, though they didn't use modern scientific terms. They worked with location, alignment, repetition, and intention. The result is a space that holds more than silence. It holds energy. Many temples were built on land selected for reasons beyond beauty or convenience. Builders looked at sunlight, slope, water flow, and also something subtler, the geomagnetic field of the Earth. These fields shift across the planet, but certain locations show stronger or more stable patterns. In modern terms, this is the Earth's magnetic field, interacting with solar energy and underground minerals. In older terms, it was described as sacred ground, chosen by signs or through rituals that sensed the land's stillness or vibration. When a temple sits on one of these spots and aligns with the cardinal directions, the body seems to respond. People report feeling more grounded, more awake. This might happen because the body itself has electrical patterns, measured through the brain, the heart, and even skin. When these patterns align with the field around them, there is less internal conflict. The system feels supported, not strained. Inside the temple, the rituals take this further. Arti is one such ritual, done daily in many temples. A flame is lit, often on a cotton wick soaked in ghee and waved in circular motions in front of the deity. The flame is not just light, it is warmth, movement, and symbol. The circular motion follows the shape of the universe itself. No beginning, no end. The person watching the flame, even passively, enters this rhythm. Their eyes follow the loop. Their breath slows to match the movement. This action resets the system, especially when done regularly. Abhisheka is another key ritual. It involves pouring water, milk, or sandal paste over the deity's form. The materials change, but the gesture stays the same. Liquid flows from top to bottom, again and again. This steady motion is not chaotic. It repeats with care. The person performing it often recites mantras. The sound and the action sync up. Watching it can be calming, even if the viewer doesn't join. The body understands this repetition. It reads it as care. These rituals are not isolated. They happen at set times: sunrise, noon, sunset. This timing is part of their power. The body follows cycles, day and night, eating and resting, alertness and sleep. When rituals follow these cycles, they reinforce balance. They act like tuning forks, bringing people back to natural rhythm. A person who lights a lamp every evening or bows at the same time each morning is not just being religious. They are creating internal order. When many people join in the same act, something else happens. A single person chanting alone may feel calm, but when 20 or 50 voices chant together, the effect multiplies. This is not only social, it is energetic. Each voice adds a layer. Each breath joins the next. In large temples, the group field becomes strong. This is sometimes called a temple field, not visible but felt. People describe it as a pressure or a wave or simply a stillness that holds. This collective field does not require belief. Even those who come as observers often feel it. A traveler from another country may not understand the chants or gestures, but they stand among others, hear the same sounds, breathe the same incense, and their body joins. The nervous system, tuned to watch others, begins to mirror what it sees. This creates shared regulation. Everyone becomes a little more centered. Ancient systems knew this in practice. They designed rituals for the group, not just the individual. Fire rituals, temple processions, mass chants. These are ways of linking people to each other through sound, light, and motion. The temple becomes a field not only of prayer, but of coherence. This idea finds echoes in modern physics, especially in quantum theory. Quantum systems show that everything is connected at a deep level. One particle affects another, even at a distance. This doesn't mean temples are quantum machines, but it suggests that the old intuition that people, places, and actions are linked is not far from what science now studies. Some researchers have looked at the way focused intention or attention can shift physical systems. In experiments with meditation, collective prayer, or group focus, small changes in electromagnetic patterns have been noted. These are early findings, not hard proof, but they match what people report. When a group focuses together, the space feels different. Temples support this focus by design. The structure points the body toward the sanctum. The layout supports circular movement. The rituals ask for steady repetition. The sounds match the breath. All of this creates conditions for coherence inside the person and between people. This coherence isn't magic. It's a product of alignment. The person aligns with the space. The group aligns through ritual. The breath aligns with sound. And under all this, the land's energy offers support. The result is a kind of calm that lasts, not just in the temple, but after people leave. Many say they feel lighter or clearer, even if they only stayed for a few minutes. This isn't about one religion or belief. It is about how the body, mind, and space relate. Rituals provide rhythm. Space offers stillness. Group focus adds strength. And the Earth's quiet current holds it all. In the end, the temple is not a building alone. It is a field of energy, memory, and rhythm, shaped by hands, aligned by stars, and kept alive through use. A person steps in, and their whole system listens. A person steps into a Sufi shrine. The air is thick with rosewater and old silence. There is music outside, qawwali echoing from loudspeakers, and sandals scattered at the threshold. Inside, people sit close to the tomb, some in stillness, others in slow rhythm, whispering prayers or weeping without shame. These spaces, built not for grandeur but presence, offer something deep. Peace here is not always quiet. It moves with sound, with scent, with bodies gathering in surrender. Though not Hindu in form, the feeling inside these shrines matches what many experience in Indian temples, an unseen force holding the space steady. Sufi architecture often follows a shape that centers around a tomb, usually beneath a dome. The layout creates a strong vertical pull. A visitor's gaze naturally lifts. The dome is more than a roof. It is a guide. Under it, the energy feels focused. Light often filters through narrow windows. The stone stays cool. Many shrines follow the Hasht-Bahisht plan, a central space surrounded by 8 chambers. This symmetry, with its radial balance, calms the eye and quiets the body. One can walk around the central tomb, like circumambulating a sanctum, while still feeling part of a larger whole. The Hasht-Bahisht pattern, which means 8 paradises, originated in Persian design. It spread across Central Asia and took root in Mughal India. The pattern supports stillness through order. One main dome sits at the center, with 8 surrounding rooms placed on a square grid. Each space mirrors the others. Movement between them becomes intuitive. In Isfahan, Iran, the Hasht-Bahisht Palace still holds this form. Visitors often report a sense of balance they can't name. Each step feels measured. Each space leads to another. Nothing jars the senses. The symmetry guides without words. The Taj Mahal also draws from this structure. Though known as a tomb, it functions like a temple. Its core chamber lies under a large dome. The white marble reflects soft light. The walls carry fine carvings of verses and vines. Around the main dome, 8 interconnected halls repeat in form and size. The body moves slowly here, without instruction. Sound echoes gently. Many people speak less or stop speaking altogether. Even tourists fall quiet. The building, though silent, speaks through scale and balance. Other Mughal tombs carry similar qualities. Humayun's tomb in Delhi uses the same pattern, a central dome surrounded by 8 rooms built on a high platform. Water channels cross at right angles, forming a charbagh or 4-part garden. These gardens are not decoration. They serve the body. The sound of water, the sight of green, the flow of breeze between walls, all help regulate the senses. Visitors often linger not for history, but for peace. In Japan, a Zen temple offers a different kind of quiet. One walks through a wooden gate into a courtyard of gravel. The raked lines follow careful patterns. Stone paths lead to wooden halls, raised slightly off the ground. Tatami mats line the floors. People remove shoes, speak softly, and bow on entering. The walls are bare. The rooms are sparse. But the mind does not race. It settles. The space asks little. It only invites. Zen architecture strips away distraction. The wood is plain. The walls open to gardens. Light enters through rice paper screens. Everything breathes. The body adjusts without effort. Sitting still becomes natural, not forced. Movement slows. Even the creak of a floorboard becomes part of the rhythm. A person walking through Ryoanji or Daitokuji might not know the principles behind the design, but they feel it. The silence becomes physical. Rituals in Zen spaces are minimal but exact. A monk bows, then sweeps the path. Another rings a bell once, then sits. These actions hold weight. They repeat every day at the same hour with the same care. Over time, this rhythm builds a field. The body feels safe. The mind has room to clear. This mirrors what many feel in temples across traditions, the sense that time has slowed and space holds steady. In Europe, Benedictine monasteries offer yet another echo. Built for prayer, labor, and study, these spaces were designed to regulate the day. Bells mark time, matins, lauds, vespers, compline. Each hour has a purpose. The buildings reflect this. A chapel lies at the heart. Around it, cloisters form a square. Covered walkways guide monks between rooms, cells, kitchens, libraries, gardens. Every movement is intentional. The layout shapes the rhythm of life. Light in these monasteries enters from high windows. It casts long shadows. Stone walls absorb sound. The silence is not empty. It has weight. People walking through these halls often whisper without knowing why. They feel the structure. It holds quiet like a vessel. Even visitors who do not follow the faith describe feeling held. The proportions, the materials, the stillness, all help the nervous system slow. The idea of sacred space across cultures shares certain traits. First, there is symmetry, not just for order, but to help the body feel balanced. Second, there is rhythm, through ritual, architecture, or movement. Third, there is restraint. Sacred places often use fewer colors, fewer shapes, fewer distractions. This reduction does not feel empty. It feels full of presence. Each choice, stone or wood, water or flame, dome or courtyard, shapes the experience. What links these different places is not belief, but design that supports stillness. A Sufi dargah, a Zen temple, a Mughal tomb, a Christian monastery, they use different forms, but they reach for the same effect. They center the body, they quiet the mind, they open space for what cannot be named. People leave such places lighter, without always knowing why. The structure has done its work. The senses remember. The stillness travels home. A temple offers more than prayer. It offers rhythm, balance, and calm. The good news is that these qualities don't need stone towers or ancient rituals. They can live inside daily life. A home can support peace, not just through decoration, but through design that honors space, light, sound, and silence. It begins with how a room feels. A temple's design guides movement. It doesn't overwhelm. There's a center, a path, and a rhythm. The body responds to this without needing to think. In a home, this can mean creating balance. Rooms that have symmetry, even simple ones, help the mind rest. It doesn't need perfect geometry. A centered rug, 2 chairs that mirror each other, or even balanced shelves can help create visual order. When the eyes stop scanning for imbalance, the nervous system gets a break. Quiet is another part of temple life that can be brought home. Many homes are full of constant input, TVs, alerts, background noise. None of it feels loud, but the body tracks all of it. One way to invite calm is to have at least one space where the input drops. This doesn't need to be a full meditation room. A corner with soft light, no screens, and maybe a mat or a cushion is enough. The brain begins to associate this space with quiet. Over time, the body learns to settle when entering that area. Light also matters. In temples, light is used carefully. It enters through small windows or from oil lamps, not from overhead glare. The light is soft and changes through the day. In a home, using lamps instead of ceiling lights or drawing sheer curtains to filter daylight can shift the mood of a space. Bright, flat light keeps the body alert. Gentle light signals rest. The eyes relax. So does the breath. Nature plays a strong role in temple spaces. Many temples are surrounded by trees, water, or open courtyards. Even in cities, temple builders make room for air and sky. In a home, small changes help. A window that opens to green, a bowl of water with a flower, or even a houseplant in the right place can remind the senses that life is slow, not fast. Nature doesn't rush, it waits. The body notices this. Stillness in daily life isn't only about silence, it's also about not needing to perform. In a temple, people aren't expected to speak or do, they just are. A home can offer the same. A seat near a window, a short time each day with no phone, or a moment to light a candle without speaking, all of these are stillness. The nervous system doesn't need hours, it needs repetition. When the same calm act happens each day, the body begins to trust it. Ritual brings that repetition. In temples, rituals mark time. They aren't long or complex. Lighting a lamp, ringing a bell, walking around the sanctum, these acts give rhythm to the day. At home, a ritual can be simple. Boiling tea the same way each morning, watering a plant at the same time, sitting with eyes closed for 3 minutes before sleep. These don't ask for belief, they ask for attention. That attention builds presence, and presence brings rest. Touch plays a quiet role. In temples, people touch stone, flowers, flame. These sensations ground the body. In a home, tactile choices matter. A soft mat, a wooden stool, a smooth surface for prayer or thought, these connect the hands to the present. When people touch natural materials, they feel steadier. Metal, stone, wood, and clay carry weight and texture. The body reads them as real. Scent is memory. Many people remember temples through smell, sandalwood, ghee, flowers. At home, scent can support focus or calm. Burning incense, using essential oils, or even keeping dried herbs near a window can help mark a space. The scent tells the brain, this place is different. This moment is set apart. Over time, the smell creates an anchor. Even on a hard day, one breath of that scent brings the mind back to center. Sound, too, shapes space. Temples use bells, chants, and silence in sequence. At home, sound can help shift state. A soft bell rung before sitting, or a chant played while cooking, brings rhythm. Even silence has tone. Turning off background noise for a short time each day allows the ears to settle. In that quiet, the mind often clears. Many homes carry tension. It builds through pace, pressure, and clutter. Peace doesn't need big changes. It asks for small, steady choices. A clear table, a place to sit and breathe, a light lit with care. Each act adds to a field. The space begins to hold stillness, not because it is grand, but because it is used with attention. Designing a mindful home is not about style. It is about support. The space should support rest, focus, and openness. This may look different for each person. For some, it means a prayer corner. For others, a quiet chair with a view. The goal is the same, a space where the body can drop its guard. Even without sacred symbols, a space can feel sacred. The key is consistency. When the same object, action, or gesture repeats with care, the space begins to carry that care. The nervous system learns this. Over time, the home becomes more than shelter. It becomes a place where the self can return. A man might light the same lamp each evening before dinner. A woman might sit for 5 minutes in the same chair with no tasks. A child might help water a plant and watch it grow. These aren't chores, they are rituals. Done with presence, they restore balance. A house filled with objects can still feel empty. A house with care in its rhythm will feel alive. This care is what temples offer. Not decoration, but alignment. Not noise, but rhythm. Not belief, but attention. When these enter the home, peace follows, not all at once, but slowly with each act. The space begins to hold stillness, and in that stillness, something inside begins to breathe. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture a temple, Not anyone in particular, just a space that feels still. You're standing at the edge, just inside the threshold. The air is quiet, but not empty. There's a faint scent of something familiar, wood smoke, maybe flowers. The light is soft. It touches the stone floor in long bands. You take one step barefoot. The surface is cool under your feet. You hear your breath more clearly here. You walk a little further, slow and steady. There is no rush. You don't have to reach anything. You only need to arrive where you already are. You notice the space around you, open, balanced, calm. You're not thinking about the past or the next hour. The mind isn't racing. The body isn't tight. You are aware. That's enough. Now turn inward. Picture a small chamber inside you, like the sanctum of the temple. It doesn't hold a statue. It holds your attention. No one else can enter. You sit quietly in that inner room. You breathe. The breath moves in and out without effort. You're not solving anything. You're not asking for anything. You're just here. This inner space doesn't need belief. You don't have to be religious to feel sacred. Sacred isn't always about gods or rituals. It's about attention, care, and rhythm. When you slow down and listen, you enter that space. A quiet kitchen before sunrise, a walk under trees, a deep breath after a long day. These are doorways. You carry this space with you, always. You touch it when you light a lamp, when you wash your face slowly, when you stop for a few seconds, not to think, but to feel. The temple within doesn't need walls. It needs time. It needs presence. You return to it whenever you give something your full attention, your breath, your food, your child, your grief. Some days it's hard to find. That's normal. Noise, pressure, worry, they pull you outside. But the door never locks. It waits. A moment of silence, even in a crowded room, can bring you back. A small ritual done with care can open the way. Picture yourself now leaving that imagined temple. You don't walk away from peace. You carry it. Your breath remains slow. Your senses feel clear. The stillness moves with you. When you open your eyes, the world will still be busy, but you will have touched something steady, something quiet that does not depend on place or name. You can return to that space anytime. The temple is not out there. It is already within.